All right, hey everyone, this is Ash. Welcome back to the King's Speech. Apologize, I'm going to super TLDR this because I've already kind of done channel stuff on the other videos that I just finished uploading. But super quick TLDR, so I apologize for being, MIA from the channel. But I'm looking at possibly taking another hiatus from here, just to kind of recharge my creative juices a little bit. So I'll try to do a proper channel update video regarding that some point later, but I just wanted to kind of put this out there right now. I did want to catch up on Spy Family and Kaiju though, so that I didn't have a huge backlog kind of building up while I'm away. So with that said, without further ado, because I've finished recording the other Kaiju and Spy Family chapters, let us get into Spy Family Chapter 33 by Tetsuya Endo with translation by Casey Lowe, lettering by Rina Mappa. We pick up last time where you were just kind of rubbing all the blood off her face, hands and everything else. As Turtleneck's going, "Oh my, you killed every last one of them. You are one heartless woman." And you are just like, "What?" It's like, "Yes, I killed them. Why wouldn't I?" It's like, "I'm sorry, but," it's like when you point a blade at someone and she picks up her little stabby knife, she goes, "You don't get to complain when one is pointed back at you. Same goes for me, too." Oh, whoops. Move this. And Turtleneck goes, "You take your work seriously. Well, I suppose their deaths mean a larger share of the bounty for me." And yours like, "I can't convince you to walk away from this. It's a little too late. It's a little late now, but we can still avoid needless bloodshed." And you see one of the other assassins going, "Who do you think you're talking to?" And he goes, "That's out of the question. We've already been paid our advance. Plus, we're on a boat. There's nowhere to walk away to. And I suspect that gentleman there has no intention of letting us leave with our lives." You see, we're just going, "Director, don't glare at them like that." And McMahon goes, "People who see war as just another way to make a buck. Ostania would be better off without them." And you see Turtleneck going, "An old soldier with old ideas. Take a page from the West. They know that money is power. A wealthy country's a happy country, right?" I see McMahon pulling a gun as he goes, "I'd expect a little more foresight from a businessman. Take a moment to reflect on that as you're being eaten by the sharks." And he goes, "Nah, I'm not the one the sharks will be eating." And he said, "Toomp," as they both duck as you see a slash as someone comes up from behind them and tries to chop at them. And he says, "Splurt," as a cut on McMahon's cheek from the sword as he tries to point the gun under his arm to shoot. And you see the swordsman just kind of whipping out his sheath from behind, slamming McMahon in the side, the crack, 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 and sending flying with a thump into one of the ship's bulkheads. Jeff, you're going, "Director!" As you see him slumping, I think McMahon's been knocked out. And you see a flash, Naga! As Yor just like dodges out of the way as the swordsman tries to slash at her. And you see he's apparently practicing out as he sheathes the sword again and whips it out as Yor gets ready to deflect. And you see the point of her little dagger is deflecting the blade of his sword. And her dagger gets sent flying off with a whack. And he's like, "Ow!" And you see it lands on the deck below. He's like, "Ah, my grip strength." It's like, It's like, it's over. And you see him sheathing the sword again as he tries to whip it out. And you see you're blocking it with her foot. And think trying to step off on it. And you see him as she blocks, you see him whipping out with the sheath again to try to stop her. He's like, "Ugh." He's like, "Do not fight it. You'll only prolong your suffering." She goes, "This one's in a whole different league." Like, my feet feel so heavy again. And you see her thinking back to McMahon saying, "In the unlikely event you should die or be seriously wounded, Forger will be informed that you are forced to take an emergency transfer." And yours thinking, "Disappearing without a word like that? I really am a heartless woman." And you see the swordsman just lashing out with more slashes as yours dodging out of the way. And you see a strand of her hair goes flying as it gets cut off with the whoosh. He's like, "Oh no, it's going to be so suspicious if I come back with a different hairstyle." And you see her just imagining Lloyd asking her, "A haircut? I thought you were entertaining VIPs." And you see Yor just with like a shorter bob cut. She's like, "Oh, they turned us down. And you know how when women get sad, they cut their hair, right?" He's like, "Stop, this isn't the time to worry about my hair. If I don't do something, I'll end up cut in two." And you see the sword assassin just kind of narrowing his eyes as he goes, "Young lady, If you fear death, then it is you who should withdraw. And he said, Withdraw? No, no, I could never do that. I won't let you lay a hand on Olka, not on any of them. And you see Turtleneck going, We're all just hired hands here. I know how it is. If you were to stand aside, we could cut you in on the bounty. I sure don't want to get hurt. And she's like, No, thank you. I'm not interested in your mind games. And you have Turtleneck going, I'm not playing games here. It's a legitimate business proposition. Killing puts bread on your table just as it does on ours. We can discuss this like colleagues. And yours like, But please don't think of me as one of you. I. And you see, as she's again dodging out of the way of the sword, she goes, I do this to support my family. It's like, wait, I guess that's the same as doing it for money. And anyway, I have enough money for that already. The real reason I kill bad people is for my country. But is it really? Do I have some noble higher calling? Since when? What exactly am I doing this for? You see, you're kind of getting lost in thought. And she's like, Urk! And she dodges backwards as the swordsman lashes out again. And she is stuck as her heels get caught in between one of the crevices. And she's like, oh no! And she's falling there. You see a thunk as he just slams into her with the scabbard and sends her flying. And you see her getting all day. She's like, ah! You have chirp chirp as the birds are kind of flying around her face. You have a shing as the swordsman comes up and points the blade at her throat. He's like, oh dear, he's going to kill me. What should I do? So I still need to pick up Lloyd's shirts from the dry cleaner and return all those books Anya checked out from the library. Wait, what am I talking about? Why is this man pointing some huge sword at me? Ugh, my head hurts. I'm a little tired. And you see her thinking back to Yuri going, Yor, hey Yor, over here. It's like, oh look, Yuri's flashing before my eyes. It's like, wahoo! It's like, look, Yor, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs offered me a job. She's like, you've grown into a fine man, Yuri. So you don't need me to support you anymore. You can live off your own earnings. She thinks back to him having gotten her a bouquet of flowers as he goes, I bought these with my first paycheck. She's like, aw. It's like, I don't need this assassin job anymore. It's like, yeah, I guess this is a good place to stop. If I died here, I wouldn't be able to go to the dry cleaner or library. You see her hands kind of falling limp. And you see the swordsman going, I think we're done here. Take care of Olka and the others. And you see Turtleneck walking off with a tump as he goes, you got it. You see a thwick as something goes flying in. I'm not sure what it is. It looks like a small piece of like rubble or something that Yor shot off. She goes, no, not that. The swordsman's like, you. It's like, Olka? Olka. It's like, why was I protecting her again? And she thinks back to Olka telling her, I just want to live a quiet life. And Yor seems to have like a little epiphany. She goes, oh, now I remember. That's why I got into this line of work. That's why I stayed in this line of work. I got so focused on trying to keep everything together that I completely forgot. Is it for money? Is it for country? It is, but it isn't. All I really wanted was to protect Yuri's carefree life. The world is soiled with needless tragedies. To prevent just one of them from befalling him or anyone else takes thorough cleaning, and that still hasn't changed. In fact, now it's more true than ever, and she's thinking of Lloyd and Anya and Bond as she just grips the sword, and you see the swords kind of looking in surprise as she just forces it away. She goes, I don't need to be at peace. I don't care if I have to bloody my hands. And she just breaks off the tip of his sword as she goes towards him with like this bloodlust look in her eye. She goes, even if it means living a life that could end at any moment, even if it means having to leave the Forger family. And you see the swordsman slashing at her, and he cuts across her chest. Without any reaction, she's still just driving forward. And she thinks back to Lloyd telling her to endure such a harsh job for the sake of another, for the sake of something greater than oneself. I truly admire that. And she thinks, I think Lloyd would respect that. He would understand. She just sends the swordsman flying with a punch as she goes, that's why I won't give up this fight. Oh. All right. I guess, again, some quick thoughts before we wrap up this chapter. I'm going to have to reread, I think, a lot of the earlier stuff because I think early on there definitely was a lot more, I think, of the brutality and like the horrors of war and like the consequences and the costs of, conflicts. I think that was a lot more front and center in the earlier on chapters before it kind of shifted gears a little bit to more like focusing on the family and kind of like Anya's little like day to days like school infiltration stuff. But we see like a little bit of that kind of like trying to be bought back with the whole with the McMahon and your speech with Turtleneck. So I'm gonna have to refresh myself because I'm kind of a little bit hazy on what exactly yours history, and background kind of stuff was. Because I think again there was a little bit of a disconnect for me in this chapter with what the kind of like emotions I think the author wanted to express, evoke, and with what I felt. Because like we still don't really know a lot from what I remember about the garden or whatever that Yor works for, like what drives and what their motivations and things are, stuff like that. So I think we're getting like little bit of hints, we're getting little hints now dropped here and there about what their purpose is, what they're striving for, things like that, what drives the various members and things like that. So it'll be interesting to kind of see that political angle developed a little bit more as the series is progressing. But again, I have to go like refresh myself uh, regarding that, like the earlier stuff that happened. It's because the aspects of this chapter I liked with regards to, like Yor's personality, Yor's development things, is kind of showcasing like how socially awkward and kind of like an airhead she is, because she doesn't kind of really understand sarcasm. She doesn't really understand like what serious things are like. She's worrying about like, oh, I have to do laundry, I have to pick up this and things like that. Like it's kind of like weird seeing her not having a sense of self-preservation. And I feel like it's one of those things like, yeah, this is like a new aspect of her that we're being introduced. I'll probably see getting developed in future chapters as we delve more into her backstory, as we see more for development, things like that. But it did feel like it came a little bit just out of nowhere. Like it felt a little bit, I don't want to say contrived. It felt like it just came out of nowhere. So I think I was a little bit taken aback by that, just like the contrast between that, her facing death and kind of just like having these unrelated thoughts regarding it. Uh, I'm also on mixed minds because I feel like this is part of the issue with this is just we haven't gotten much your backstory like back during her younger days and things. So still kind of unfinished. We're getting still just kind of like the tidbits at this point. So there's not really a lot to pull from. But it also feels like it feels a little bit generic to have her big epiphany be like, oh, I just want people to be able to live carefree lives, because it's countries like this, because the country is dirty and it needs to be clean and all that. And I think part of that might be because again the focus has shifted so much from the earlier stuff. The war, the conflict between East and West was kind of more prominent, and it's having like a stopgap before that was kind of reintroduced back into the story again, especially with focus shifting from back to yours kind of whole relationship with that. So I don't know. I guess I was kind of hoping, now that it seems like we're getting closer to the climax and the end of this arc, I guess I was hoping for a little bit more development and progression for your. But I guess it's better, to kind of take it slow rather than kind of rushing it. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I guess there's still the arc's still not over yet. There's still some time for further development and growth and stuff to take place. Excuse me. So we'll see, how Yorg's affected by like this whole conflict, like what the conclusion and everything to this arc is. But yeah, I think I'm gonna do a reread of the series in the next little bit, and I think I'm gonna try to revisit this maybe in the next video. I'll do like a follow up review with my thoughts regarding this once I've had a chance to reread the series. But yeah, these last two chapters is definitely, I think, a lot more dissonance I've felt than I have previously with the series so far. So I'm gonna try to see if I can pin down what exactly, like pin down the specifics of what exactly is causing that. That said, I still do enjoy Spy Family. It still is a really good series. That and Kaiju are still my favorite things in Shonen Jump right now. Still looking forward to reacting to more of the chapters and stuff. So yeah, so like I said, I'll try to do a channel update video sometime in the next few days. Hopefully, talking with the hiatus and stuff, and like what my plans will be for when I'll be coming back, things like that. As always, if you like my content, please do like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll try not to let the kaiju, because since I think Kaiju and Spy are both bi-weekly, I'll try not to let too much of a backlog build up with them as well while I'm on the hiatus. So maybe I'll pop back in sporadically just to do reaction reviews for these two series specifically. With that said, yeah, I think I'll wrap up the video here. Thank you all for joining me. And until next time, this is Ash. Talk to you all later.